testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys grow their bromance,
non-toxic bromance,
their non-toxic bromance, by exploring masculinity, manosphere culture, and joy in the stupidest timeline.
Join us.
Welcome to Outside the Manosphere. I'm Skip.
And I'm Carlos.
Our main topic for the day is a return into the Invisible Knapsack. But first, what's your news item for the day?
So my news item for the day, well, a couple things here, very quick. This is actually a couple weeks old now, several by the time we release. Something Trump did that I actually agree with. He has fast-tracked research into psychedelics for veterans, which I think is absolutely wonderful because there is evidence to show that it helps with PTSD, it helps with depression, it helps with all kinds of shit. And it's I don't know what it's been scheduled as a drug, but it's very illegal. And as a result, research has been limited. So yeah, that's changing now. So bravo, Trump. I never thought in my life I would say that, but this is a really, really good thing. I'm sure he had absolutely nothing to do with it other than he autographed the bill. But I'm pleased.
Yeah, this has actually been a big push from Rick Perry of
oh my God,
of way back.
I'm in bed with all kinds of assholes.
Yeah, and Kristen Sinema. They've both been, but they've been pushing for a long time because of it's effective specifically for the veteran population because of PTSD. So, but it's something. I agree. It's something good and. It's something that actually, I've never done a drug in my life. I've never done any kind of drug, but I would happily try some microdosing of like psilocybin or something because the research and the information on it is just so interesting and so fascinating. And, you know, the reliable reports of the effects sound just really, really cool and cool enough that I can get behind trying something that's recommended by the guy that can't remember the Department of Education.
That's funny. I'm gonna hold off on my other news item. That can go another time. But
right.
What's your news item for the week?
Yeah, mine is. It's not even. It's still kind of ongoing, but there was a report a little while ago. There's a record number of researchers and scientists running for office in the U.S. midterms, which is just cool. After like decades of loud dunderheads, you know, that just want to wear like a "Don't Tread on Me" flag shirt while licking somebody's boots. Like, it's just nice to see people kind of coming out and being like, no, like this stuff's important. Science is important. Yeah. And like vaccinations, like with the measles outbreaks and stuff, there's big problems with kind of walking away from science. Just on Friday, it'll be a few Fridays back by the time people hear this, but Trump, and this is something we can attribute to Trump, fired the entire advisory board for the National Science Foundation, which funds basic science in the US. So like, it's genuinely under attack, and it's nice to see scientists kind of coming out from their usual, like, very nonpartisan, non-political standpoint and jumping out and saying, like, this is pretty important and we're going to get involved. So I'm happy to see that.
It's a really optimistic sign because it's the opposite of what you'd expect in the rise of sort of authoritarianism. It's the opposite of a brain drain, which was my fear. I mean, because people were like dashing off to Canada in the early days of I guess the second Trump administration.
There's plenty of people still doing that, but
yeah. But like that was my fear that this is it. But instead, they're like pushing back and not just using their academic credentials to do good scientifically, but they're jumping onto lawmaking skills.
Yeah. Eloquently said. No, I think it's great. And it's not like, you know, in sometimes in the past where we don't know where all this leads. Like, these are educated people. They know how this goes if this is unrestrained and unchecked. So it's nice to see people saying, look, we know how this ends if we don't do something different. and stepping up to fight for things that are important to them. Go for it. Go scientists. Woo woo.
All right, Skip. Well, for our red flag, well, you know what? Before we do our red flags, I was listening to our last episode, which I actually loved. It was a really good, really nice episode. I enjoyed it very much. But in reflecting on our last red flag, which was hyper competitiveness in men, you were talking about how you're a wrestler and how you're super aggressive about it. You were there to play the sport and enjoying it. I realized like halfway through, I'm like, I kind of want to wrestle Skip. So I wonder who would win. I mean, surely that would be you because one, you're taller than I am, and you're an experienced wrestler, and I have zero experience in wrestling. But some weird competitiveness emerged from my psyche, and I'm like, yeah, I want to wrestle Skip. I'd probably hurt myself, or we would hurt ourselves because we're
probably both hurt ourselves.
Yeah. But it also reminded me. I was on shift with a young woman who was incidentally a black belt in Taekwondo, and I had asked her. I said, "Hey, do you feel like you could, defend yourself in a dark alley against like a larger opponent?" And she was—I don't remember what she said exactly, but it was along the lines of like, "Yeah, I do think I could." And my response to that was like, that's what I think too about myself. Only I have no reason to think that. None at all, other than I'm a man and I can defend myself. So yeah, I just thought it was funny. I have a little bit of that red flagginess in my body that I wanted to wrestle you as we were discussing wrestling, and that I have absolutely no reason to feel like I could defend myself against a larger opponent in a dangerous setting. But yeah, I can do that. So yeah, just a little window into my mind.
I don't know if you were in on this like a while ago. It's like a year or two ago, but there was a poll, and I actually was able to find it relatively quickly, about people that think they can fight animals and win.
Yeah, we talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah. And like men thinking that they could fight like different kinds of animals and win, and women being much more realistic. But there's also, I found one that's Brits versus Americans. And Americans are unsurprisingly much more confident in their ability to fight, say, a king cobra or a medium-sized dog, or or goose. Yeah, any kind of number
I
of
can fight a goose. I can fight a goose.
But the most astonishing thing, because I'm looking at this right now, is that there is some percentage of men, or of Americans, I guess it doesn't have to be men, more than 5% that think they could fight a grizzly bear, and almost 10% that think they could fight a lion or an elephant, both of which would just destroy you.
Absolutely. So further windowing into my mind here, when I was in my 20s, I was that guy. I'm like, okay, yeah, I was like in my mind, I would strategize. If I were attacked by a grizzly bear, there's a good chance I could make it out of there. Because I would think I would do this, I would do that. And yeah, I have that same fucking dope. I'm happy to say that now if I were to encounter a grizzly bear, I would first shit my pants. And
I'm proud of you too.
I would secondly drop to the ground in a fetal position and hold my head and neck and just probably be eaten that way. But I have no interest in fighting a large predator, and nor do I think I could win against one of these animals. So I have definitely evolved. Did you ever have that when you were younger? Nothing at all, I'm guessing.
Oh, no. I would, because I have had insomnia my whole life. So I would, when I was younger especially, I would just go through scenarios. Like, I'd go through scenarios over and over again. And I don't know that I was confident in my abilities, but I'd go through scenarios of being like in a restaurant and an active shooter came in, or something like that, or being attacked on the street or whatever. And I would go through them in my head because, like, I don't know, just preparedness. I have no idea. But yeah, it's definitely a thing that I also did. I don't know that I would have said that I was confident that I could win, but I definitely was thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mine would like for active shooters, I would have those fantasies too, because that's what they were, fantasies, because they would ultimately lead. If I didn't win in my mind, I would have some heroic death, and like it would be this tragic. Yeah. There's young men's brains are quite funny, I think.
Yeah. I would also go running like at 1 or 2 in the morning when I couldn't sleep sometimes, and we lived around areas with mountain lions, and I fantasize isn't the right word, but I like fantasize about being attacked by a mountain lion.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. That's the dream, Carlos.
Emerging like Tarzan with a dead cougar on your shoulders.
Well, and the only reasonable way is to roadhouse it and just go right for the neck.
You know what though? Like what a ridiculous like representation of the male mind as like Roadhouse and like Tarzan, because that's been going on for a long time.
Oh yeah.
We had no chance because that's what we were consuming is, and not just like Tarzan's an old story. I don't know. That was written in the 1800s, I think. Like that's just been going on for a while, where men just fantasizing about dominating other things. Anyway,
being wild animals.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that was last week's red flag. This week's red flag is when men have a need to be validated by other men constantly. What do you know about this subject, Skip?
It's fairly new to me. I mean, I like my validation. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, same, sure.
I like getting validated in like a work situation. Like, little validation every once in a while goes a long way. Little attaboy or attagirl for my wife. I actually so like for my wife, she lives on this stuff. She lives on like validation. So I got her a gold star shirt just so that she could wear it when she needed a pick me up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never been like a dude's dude. So I don't feel like I've definitely seen this, like guys that just need to like show off, lift the most, be like up their numbers with the ladies or whatever, like in the eyes of their friends or whatever. But it's kind of a little bit foreign to me.
Sure.
What about you?
It's also foreign to me, other than my own personal observations, because I've never felt the need that I've never needed men to like pat me on the back and say you're doing great and you're a man's man, or like I've never needed the adoration of other men. But I have seen, and not even adoration, but I have seen grown men, elderly men. I've just noticed men who are absolutely needing validation from other people. And when they don't get it, they wear it on their face. And what I've consistently seen are extroverted personalities needing that. Like men who just thrive in a social setting. I've seen them like sort of kind of crumble and fall into themselves when they feel like they're not being appreciated. And that's like really the ceiling of my experience. But it's fascinating to watch. It's sad to watch too, I think, because like you see them really, really needing it, and when they don't get it, like I don't know, it's just sad to see them kind of wounded when they don't have it. But it's interesting.
Maybe you only notice it in the extroverts because the introverts are just eating themselves alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it occurs to me that this is like describes all of the manosphere, like all of the major manosphere
definitely.
people, because they don't care about women.
Sure.
And they only want, I mean, and to be fair, like we've talked about this before, that's because that's their customer base. It's not those aren't their friends. It's their clientele. They're trying to sell something. They're in the multi-level marketing scheme of masculinity, and they don't care about the people below them. They're just trying to win. So they need that approval. Otherwise, they've got nothing, right?
Yeah. All right.
But yeah.
Well, I think it also is a representation of if they're needing male approval, and I kind of feel like I've seen this as well, that they're kind of dismissing female approval. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing this thing and I'm getting tons of praise by my wife or my girlfriend or my whoever. But that doesn't matter. Like their opinion, they're thinking this is great. Doesn't matter at all. Like I need the boys to appreciate it. So I think that's part of the reason why it makes it such a red flag, because it definitely diminishes the opinion of women.
Yeah. And I mean, like I swing the other way. I prefer validation from women because I mean I grew up in like most of my cousins are women, most of my friends in high school were women. We've talked about before, and so like it just makes more sense to me, and also to be like, oh yeah, you're not like I've grown up with women saying like how terrible men can be a lot of the time. So it's always nice to be like the exception to that rule. And they're like, man, yeah, this is terrible. You're great. I like you. And that's always a nice aside.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing for me, man, is it's always a nice aside for me because I mean, 100% I'd have to really unpack it, but like I am absurdly confident in myself, and I don't necessarily really need anyone to tell me that I'm doing great, because I know that I'm doing great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's real or not, I'm like, this is perfect what I'm doing right now. And
Sure.
I like, sharing it with people so I can see their face. And when they're like disagreeing, like this thing that we were talking about off mic, I said I'd propose it to my sister, and she was like, yeah. And then even when you were like, yeah, it's not a bad idea, I'm like, no, it's a fucking great idea. You guys just don't see it. You guys just don't see it yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'll maybe I'll hope for validation, but when I don't get it, I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't matter because it's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could probably scale that back a little bit and be a little healthier, but I don't know.
I don't know. I definitely had several decades of being that absurdly confident person, and I think basically that went away when I had kids and started a family, and I love my kids, but it sort of eats you alive a little bit, some of it.
Yeah.
And it really brings you down to earth about like that guy and that persona and that person that I was, that person cannot exist in this situation.
It's a very self-centered persona. Like,
Yeah,
I'll say that about myself. Like, I don't have anybody depending on me to like for life experience or to teach moral teachings or anything like that. And so I don't need to think about that. I don't need to worry about that stuff. I'm not an example for anyone like you are. Therefore, I can continue existing as I have been for the past couple of decades.
It's a lot harder to have that kind of like confidence. And a lot of my bravado used to be like, I would just do things like I'd throw some event or I'd go on some wild trip. And it's like, I can't do that shit now. Like I could probably throw an event, but man, it just sounds like a bunch of work and I got other things to do. Whereas I used to have like, as a person with kids, and I know that people that are single hate hearing this, but like when people that are single tell me that they're busy, and it's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I had so much time when I was single. I don't know. like when I was, or not even single, but just like with a girlfriend, like, man, you have so much time. You're never going to have this much time again in your entire life. This is as easy as it gets. And now it's just like, fuck it, I'm tired.
Couple of bullet points to consider with this red flag of men needing validation from other men constantly. It indicates that these guys need male approval to feel confident, which we were kind of just talking about. Another one would be they change their behavior if other men are watching. Like,
oh man, this is like the chorus of the show is that men of the manosphere and this type of man are just like not grown-ups. It's just not grown-ups. This is the kind of shit that kids do when their friends are over. Like they change their behavior when their friends are over and the parents are like, oh, you're acting froggy because you think you can't get in trouble because your friend's here. Or like they act up when they're around other people. And this is just like, it's more of that, right? It's like, Mudro's here, so I'm going to like posture and stuff. And it's just like, this is such 7-year-old behavior.
But you can always, but can't you see it? Like, I can always tell when somebody's being performative, or when a man is being performative. Like, you can always tell when they're showing off. You know what I mean?
Right. No, that's the thing. It's just so childish. It's so childish,
and it's embarrassing too. It's like, dude, just like relax. We like you. Just relax. Another one would be they won't show love or softness until no men are around. It's kind of the same thing as before, but this is most directed at women, whereas like they're like, going back again to the Inside the Manosphere documentary.
I was going to bring up the same thing. Yeah.
That one podcaster guy, like his girlfriend's defense is like, yeah, but he's this way for the show and he's not like this at home. You could argue this is his professional persona and he's an actor sort of thing, but like, I mean, he's teaching that to other men, you know what I mean?
But dude, like also that is like the mantra of like the abusive relationship, right? That is what the defense always is. Like, oh yeah, I know he hits me or he's shitty or whatever, but he's different in private. It's like, if you've got somebody that is basically having two personas, that is the sign that something is fucked up and you should get the fuck out of there.
Definitely. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I hadn't made that connection that, he hit me, but he didn't mean it. or he's not usually like that. This is like a special. It's only when he's really upset or when he's really frustrated, and like I understand they give them a pass. But yeah, if they won't show love and affection to you publicly, there's a reason for that. Either they're doing something else they shouldn't be, or they're so insecure that they're going to be regarded as soft by other guys. Like there's a reason for that. So don't dismiss it.
Well, it's all this need for validation, right? Like everybody likes validation, or at least I think most people do. I don't, there's probably some contingent of people that are like, I do not care about other human beings, but, but like everybody appreciates it. But like the actual need for it is like like the need for constant validation is deep-seated insecurity. Like it's a lack of confidence. It's a lack of security. It's something that needs to be addressed, like on a personal level that these guys haven't taken care of. So, it tells you a lot about, and this is, the same thing, like you said, from like the Inside of the Manosphere documentary. I think of the guy that kind of ran through the show, the HS Tiki-Taki guy, who after his first interactions with Louis Theroux, and he posted something on the internet, he went crazy because people were not giving him the validation, and they were saying he was going to get played. And he went through several persona flips. Like he had no core human personality. He was just like flipping through different versions of himself, trying to find something again that was acceptable to other people, because he was so insecure. So like, I mean, there's no other word to say, but just like kind of weak.
Well, and you watch that happen in real time with the other guy that what's his face, with Louis Theroux was interviewing. The one that asked his wife or his girlfriend to like clean up around the studio. That guy was just visibly insecure. You just see him sort of like trembling in himself. And he was shifting through the right persona as well in real time. Yeah, and it was fascinating to watch this person figuring it out in real time and not figuring it out at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's our red flag for the day. I did switch. I don't know if you saw in our notes.
I saw it and then totally did not process it.
That's okay. So we were kind of heading in the wrong direction, I think, when we were introducing petty red flags at the end of our red flag segment. So you kind of discovered upon the health and wellness of green flags, which I think is so much better. So I think from here on out, if you're okay with it, we're just going to move on to green flags rather than dwelling on anything negative. So as our first official green flag, what would you look for in a healthy male attitude, personality, way of being?
I was going to say something else and I even wrote it down, but I think I'm going to switch it and say somebody that can show affection to another man.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be like touching and hugging. And like, I know that the guys that I'm around, I don't see guys that often, and I don't like go out of my way to hug them, but I'll hug them. Yeah. But
yeah, okay.
Just like being caring towards other men. We're not having like some, I don't know, like that posturing that we were talking about before. Like I'm trying to fill some role. And as we've talked with, the guys from Movember and a number of things, and just trying like this rigid, stoic, loner man, it's just so unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like seeing good, positive relationships with another man, or even lady friends, I can see why that might be a little bit more challenging for somebody. But yeah, I think having healthy relationships and affectionate relationships with men.
I agree. I think that could be as simple as if I could take an example from my own life. I remember being in college, and I was significantly older than most of the students there. And I remember teasing, and maybe some of the other students were teasing this one young guy. And he was just kind of quiet. Like it was funny, but everyone was teasing him. And when that kind of went away, and it was just everyone had moved on. I remember just sort of like grabbing his shoulders and kind of shaking around a little bit, but like affectionately. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I didn't put my arms around him. I didn't rub his back or anything. It just as
some connection.
It was affectionate contact. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be like what you'd imagine as affection. It's just any sort of like willingness to make contact with somebody, I think.
Yeah. Some comfort with showing some connection. instead of just being like, so sports, like,
How about them sports, mister?
yeah. How about that sports ball?
Yeah, that sports ball. How about that match? That sports match. All right. Well, my green flag is pretty simple and pretty obvious, I think, if they have a healthy relationship with their mother. And of course, not everyone is blessed to have a mother in their lives. It's not the case for everyone. But I feel like for a lot of men, an unhealthy relationship with their mother could be that sort of like, mommy, fix it for me, or mommy, tell me that she's wrong. Or, you know what I mean? And like, validate
sure.
me, mommy. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a respectful relationship with your mother, that you treat her with respect, and that not just as a parent, but just as a woman. I think,
Sure.
I think that's a green flag. You have a healthy relationship with your mama. And
Yeah.
if you don't have one, people have conflict with each other. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a red flag if like they don't talk to their mom or whatever, but like, having a healthy relationship is definitely a green flag, I think.
Well, so I'll add to that a little bit. Like I think a healthy relationship with your mother is definitely a green flag. The one thing that I'd say is sometimes it can also be a green flag to have that healthy relationship be no contact.
Yeah.
If there's some like problems, like if you were raised in a really terrible household, I think there's a growing number of people that are feeling better and more vocal about stepping away from toxic families, and I think that can be good too. But obviously, having a healthy relationship is definitely a green flag, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the only way to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think another way of putting that would be having healthy boundaries. Like what you were describing is having boundaries and knowing what's not working for you and being willing to implement that change in your life.
Yeah.
Also extraordinarily healthy and very much a green flag.
Love it.
All right, Skip. Well, we are going to continue with an ongoing article from last season. It's by a woman named Peggy McIntosh. It's called Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack. And it's about white privilege. And again, this is a hairy subject, but I do think we can correlate it with the manosphere and with gender inequality as well. This article was written in the 80s when this woman was kind of examining feminism, and she kind of had a light bulb moment that like this is actually connected to race and how she's privileged as a white person. And it's not at all bashing of whiteness or demonizing it, but it's a recognition of some advantages that she was born with that she hadn't considered before until this moment. It's taught in colleges, taught in universities. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So this one, it's a list of 50 statements. This one, it's number 28. We're just kind of jumping around. She states, I can be pretty sure that an argument with a colleague of another race is more likely to jeopardize his or her chances for advancement than to jeopardize mine.
I can honestly say I haven't thought about this a lot in my life, which is, the first sign that there's definitely something going on there. If this is something other people are thinking about. And I will say that I have heard other people talk in professional situations where they make a point of saying like that somebody else is different. And whether it's just their race or it's their race and their nationality or something like that, like it doesn't strike me in many times when I've heard this as relevant to the problems that they're having at work, but it definitely was something that they added as a layer.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well,
what do you think?
Well, it's something. So when you said that I haven't thought about it, I'm like, I haven't thought about it either. I mean, I've definitely been exposed to racism tremendously throughout my life, but because I am a white man, in the workplace, it really hasn't been a thought for me. Like, oh yeah, if I'm having a disagreement with somebody who's obviously a person of color, never occurred to me that I would have the advantage, but I certainly do. I will say, and I feel like a lot of these statements I think are somewhat dated, not extinguished, but somewhat dated. And I think living in Austin, living in Prague, as an immigrant in Prague, I think that's something you absolutely would be keen to if you were having an argument with a Czech person and they were going to axe an immigrant versus a native, that might be a little more relevant to you.
Yeah, I'm not in a work situation, but definitely in just like out and about kind of situation because my language, now I'm a Czech citizen, but my language skills I'm not fluent.
Right.
And there have been times where I've thought about, like we've talked about speaking up about something. And I was afraid, like, okay, well, what if this turns into a thing and the police come? I'm not going to get the benefit of the doubt in that situation,
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's definitely something that holds you back from doing things that sometimes you think are right. And it definitely adds a layer of fear. And I also do have a situation from work, but I'd like to hear what you were going to say.
Well, what I was going to say was growing up in large cities and spending time in large cities, I feel like it's not, like I said, it's not extinguished. It's still an existing thing, but I think to a lesser degree. Now,
Mhm.
if they're just a person of color, but they're culturally they're American or they're Czech or whatever, I think there's a little more freedom for them to express themselves without fear of detriment. But if they're like, quote unquote, right off the boat and they're like, accent or they have difficulty with the language, I think that's a much greater issue. But what I wanted to say was, and I don't mean to make New Brunswick here in Canada sound like an awful place because there's a lot of really, really positive things here. But I do think that sort of discrimination is alive and well here. And if I were to have a dispute with another paramedic who is a person of color, even if they were raised Canadian, I don't know that it would affect their advancement. I think their advancement would be affected, period, because they're a
Mhm.
person of color. However, I think I would have the support of all the other paramedics,
Sure.
and that's
Sure.
just my I don't know, thought behind it. I don't know it to be true. It's just my feeling and how it would
Yeah.
be perceived. So yeah, I think it might not affect their sort of upward mobility career wise, but they might have people against them, and there would certainly be objective people that would look at it from both sides. But I think
Yeah.
overall, I would absolutely have the advantage just for being a white guy, even though I am an immigrant with a Spanish name.
Well, to bring this back to, this originally came from feminism and then she was expanding to other races, but just like from that original perspective of gender, like as you know, I worked at Victoria's Secret and I was definitely highly aware of my difference there. Like I was pristine behavior. I wouldn't like say anything, do anything that could be even interpreted as possibly problematic because I was so worried about getting fired or sued or something. So, like, I can definitely imagine that, if you're in that situation, if you're in a situation where you're different, you would have those guards up all the time and
Yeah.
you would be much more aware of it because I was when I was different. And the other thing that I would say is like I've run into a number of times with women in my life, white women usually, um, where they're concerned about uh, talking about getting a raise or money or pushing for something because the when a man does that kind of thing traditionally, and I do think this is changing to some degree, but I don't think it's all the way there. When a man's pushing for a raise, it's seen as ambitious, and women can often be thought of as bitchy or something like that. And it's a really unfair kind of thing. And like with for instance, my wife, when we got together, I had to like coach her on, you know, pushing for what she was worth at her work because they were drastically underpaying her. And it was like an insulting underpaying. And so like, but there's that fear. There's definitely that fear. And I can only imagine when you add more layers of different race and things like that or different cultures, man, it's gotta start stacking up to where you get pretty nervous about how it's gonna be how things are gonna be seen when you're reaching.
Absolutely. And if you look, so going back to the original statement about with a
Mhm.
scenario of an argument, if sticking with feminism, if I were having an argument with a white woman in the
Yeah.
in the workplace, and my supervisor is a man, I could cash in that good old boy card. You know what I mean? Like, bro, this is what happened, and you know what I mean. And I'm gonna connect, not in every case, because every person is different, whether they're male or female. But like the odds of me connecting with the male mind is much greater than a woman would be, and I could meet him eye to eye, so to speak, and be like, this is what happened. Not necessarily like, highlighting her feminism or femininity rather,
Mhm.
but I think I'm statistically more likely to come out on top if I'm talking with a man. With
Sure.
a female supervisor, I don't know how that would work. I mean, I imagine there's some women that are just as sort of red pilled as anyone else, and might have the same response as a male supervisor. But it's a disadvantage.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this has been on the world stage as well. Like we see the president calling women on Air Force One piggy and things like that. And of course, some people get upset, but there's no consequences. There's nothing like that. You can't really imagine like a woman saying things like that to a male subordinate and getting away with it in quite the same way, especially on the national news and things like that. They would get dragged much worse, and so there's just kind of like an awareness, and especially if it was like a black woman president, then you would have people up in arms. And when President Trump does it, it's just kind of like, well, yeah, he's a shitbag. Well, what do you expect? There's lots of shitty shitbags out there. No big deal.
Well, I guess in defense of the American population, I feel like this is a Trump thing, because I think any other Republican, any other Democrat that would say some shit like that to a woman would get pounced on, and just people won't do it with Trump for some fucking reason. He gets away with all of it.
It's the dementia. They give him all the credits for the dementia.
That poor old fella.
That poor old fella falling asleep on TV and pooping himself.
Do you see that picture of him sleeping?
Oh yeah,
he was like fucking one of these things to the side. It was so funny.
Oh yeah, you're looking at him going, oh, his neck's not going to feel good when he wakes up.
Yeah, he's like, he was out. That's funny. So anyway, that's number 28 from Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack. Worth reflecting over, just acknowledging at least some advantages that you might have if you happen to be a white male. This whole thing's a little preachy.
Yeah, whatever. All right, Carlos, it's our favorite part of the show. What is your joy for this week? Or joys?
So my joys, a real quick one. Super Troopers 3 is coming out, and it looks hilarious. Yeah, I can't wait for that. But sort of more wholesome joy is, and I've talked about it before, and at the risk of sounding like an asshole, I've had a few false starts with my little book of short stories that being a paramedic that I've been assembling. But just in this past week, rather than sort of like giving myself a license to start anywhere and at any time and in any short story because it's a collection of short stories, I've done this pretty comprehensive outline of how I want it to be, and it's giving me a starting point. And like I said, rather than just jumping into some random short story, I'm starting at the beginning. And I started yesterday, and it was flowing and it was funny, because it's not the whole thing is going to be funny, but like I was very satisfied with myself yesterday.
That's awesome.
So I'm really happy with the direction that I've chosen, and I've got like a list of characters. I've got a list of concepts per short story. I got a list of continuity. I've got a lot of outlining that I've done, and I'm really looking forward to it. And it's been a joy. Just prepping has been really nice.
Nice.
What about you? What's your joy for this week?
Well, I have a couple joys for this week. One was, and previously we had talked about the Spider-Man noir. I'm not even going to see it because it's on Amazon and I don't have that. But I'm enjoying watching the previews, and I'm enjoying the Nicolas Cage quotes about his acting. I recently saw one where he said, "I want to play Spider-Man noir like a spider that's pretending to be a human," which I just think is hilarious. So that was just a tiny joy that I had today. Another joy is that The Onion is taking over Alex Jones' InfoWars and turning it into a parody of itself, which will fund helping Sandy Hook families, which he discredited and said was false, and their kids got shot and killed. So what a piece of shit he was.
Which he attempted to discredit. He didn't discredit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm thrilled. That sounds like it's going to be great. And it was such like, what's tilting at windmills kind of thing, because they spent a lot of money and a lot of effort getting this thing. And it must have just been a labor of love. And I hope that they just enjoy the shit out of it. It sounds great.
Yeah. So what was the resolution? Because I know that they were in court over the purchase. Do you know?
Yeah, they got it. They've taken over. They've released the new logo, which is the InfoWars logo,
What?
but the O is an onion, and it's with rainbow lettering. It looks just like it's gonna be
Man.
fucking lightful.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check it out.
I'm thrilled with that. I'm thrilled that they're raising money for a good cause with it. So like they're just doing generally good, necessary things.
Do you know if it's going to be like a continuation of podcasting, or if it's going to be just articles, or do you have any idea?
They said they're going to try and do it like InfoWars, but as a parody of
Wow.
InfoWars. Sort of like when Stephen Colbert did the Colbert Report. I think.
Right.
Like it was a parody of itself, or it was a parody of those types of news shows. So that's thrilling. And my last joy is that I've got a newer friend, but a close friend who's more active on the interwebs than I am, because you know me, I can't bring myself to do all the things, the Instagram and the LinkedIn and all that. And she's been finding little tutoring jobs that are enjoyable, that I'm starting to do some tutoring. And it's a nice, fun thing for me, because they're like decent pay. I get to work one-on-one with kids. And like sometimes it's something that, you know, I can do, but it's not my background. So I get to study and like brush up on some things, which is fun for me to like relearn or learn things, and then, you know, work on improving something for somebody in their lives.
That's
And
really nice, man.
Yeah.
What are you tutoring, or is it just kind of general studies, or?
So yeah, I've got different things, calculus, European history, just like kind of random things that have popped up that people needed a devoted tutor for, and I'm taking them on. It's
Nice, man.
It's
Is this so? Your calculus? So these are high school students, or how old are they?
yeah, high school. So, and yeah, like an SAT prep for somebody. So just little things here and there, and who knows how long term or how much they'll work out, but it's kind of fun, just like doing little things here and there. So
Face to
that's
face
nice.
or online?
Face to face so far. Yeah.
Nice,
Been
cool,
nice.
man. Yeah, and you're a primo tutor because you speak English. You're a native English speaker too. That's that's a bonus for a lot of these people that want to practice their English.
Well, and for like the SATs and stuff, like I've got a master's in teaching English as a foreign language and a master's in mathematics. So it's a good fit. It's a good fit.
No, it's perfect. Nice, man. How many students you got? Just the one, or were you?
Right now, 2, but that's
nice.
fine,
Okay.
because some of them take quite a bit of time. Like one of them maybe 20 hours a week.
Oh,
so
wow.
We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, congratulations. That sounds like a lot of fun. That's a very satisfying line of work, I think, when you're educating people.
Yeah, well, we'll get back to it in a couple months and see how it's going. But
you're like, man, fuck this.
But it feels good now.
I wanted to say one thing, going back to the Onion real quick. It's not the Onion, but it's also a satirical. I guess it's a publication. I don't know if they print anything, but anyway, it's a Canadian kind of version of the Onion. It's called the Beaverton.
Oh yeah, I've seen that pop up here and there.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's just, but anyway, it's because it's Canadian, the beaver. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. So anyway, well, cool, man. Good joys all around.
Excellent joys. Thanks for joining us. New podcasts every Wednesday. And if any part of this show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel, or recommend us to a friend. Hasta la pasta.
Mission accomplished. That's all I got.
I just want to ask you at the end of this, do you approve of how I did today?
I mean, it could be better. I'm just going to slide right into like dominating manipulation. Well, it was okay, Skip. I wouldn't have done it that way.
Are you going to nag me, or are you going to be like, I can see you're trying. I can see.
Yeah. I applaud your effort. You're almost there. You need a little bit of practice.
Yeah. Yeah.